Let's talk about Pro Tools tracks now. So when we want to make a new track, you can go track new, and you can see this dialog here. And I can go command up and down arrow and scroll through the track types we have. There are essentially 5 track types that we are going to deal with. And I have Pro Tools HD here, so there's a lot more, but I'm going to start with the most basic audio track. Essentially, in this first assignment, we're just dealing with audio tracks, and they come in 2 flavors, mono and stereo for our purposes. There's a lot more here, but that's Pro Tools HD only, but for the most part, mono and stereo. So a track is an audio track, and you can have mono and stereo properties. Also, aux tracks are important. It's like the aux input on your stereo, so they can just route audio signal through them. That's aux input tracks. Master fader, we'll get to that here in a bit. This is like an overall volume level. Usually it's stereo master fader. We can have MIDI tracks. We can have instrument tracks and other tracks. But for now, let's concern ourselves with audio, aux input tracks, master fader, MIDI tracks, and instrument tracks. In this assignment, we're only using audio tracks and master fader. We're going to use both mono and stereo tracks. So I can click this little plus here, and I can have, I don't know, I can have 2 stereo tracks here, and I can have 2 mono tracks here. I can create them. So you can create tracks as placeholders. Say if you're recording something before, and we can name them. That's really good naming convention. So let's say this is going to be a guitar track. And here's a nice little tip: Command right left arrow, or Control left right arrow if you're on a PC. I want guitar. I want Vox. We'll scroll through the track name. So I named it guitar and Vox. Now I'm going to go to audio 3. It's a stereo track. I'm going to call it. This is going to be called drums, and this is going to be called, let's say, Vox stereo, Vox ST. So I can go quickly through all the names. And track naming is really, really important when you're setting up a session, if you're going to record or if you're going to organize your materials. So again, that I was command left right will scroll through the tracks in the session that you can name. So you can create the tracks beforehand, or you can kind of drag your audio assets as such onto the session here, and that will play back, or it'll make a new track in there. So again, I'll do that. So I've got my ambience loop there. Let's grab the AX file here. It's a stereo track, and it made a new track for me. So you can do that as well. So if you're working with loops, you can do that. So these took the name from the audio clip. In the last video, I forgot to tell you that these are clips and waveforms. And so what we can do, we can move these tracks around in whatever order we want. I can move my click tracks there. I can hold on the Option key. Option, by the way, is the global command to select everything. That's the track nameplate, which is very important. I can just double click on the click track and name it AX2, for example. I just rename that. Double click. This is an Earth, Wind, and Fire tune. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I can rename that. I can reorder them, move them around. I can select a range of tracks. Let's say I want to select all these tracks. I can shift select between tracks like that. I can select all my tracks. Let's talk about resizing tracks. I can just click between the tracks, resize them. I like this command, Option again, which does everything. I'm soloing everything here. If I click on this little ruler here next to the level meter there, I can Option, I'm holding down Option, go to a medium, mini, small, or I could just drag it holding down Option and they'll all resize. So Option's like this magic key command in Pro Tools, or it's Alt on the PC, that applies everything, any type of operation to all the tracks. So for example, I can solo all the tracks, I can mute all the tracks, I can select or deselect all the tracks. That's a really good one. Option deselect is a really good one. So you guys get my drift here. You can move around the tracks, reorder them. I can use shift select to select a range of tracks. Option select to deselect them all. And I can use command or control on a PC to select non-contiguous tracks. So every other one, I can just move these down here now, for example, and they'll all reorder, right? So, and then I can delete a track by just highlighting the track, delete, where are you? There we are, track delete. And that, I cannot undo that, unfortunately. I don't know why they designed that, but you can't undo deleting the track. Just keep that in mind. So yeah, I can reorder tracks and I can move tracks around, but it has to be selected, right? So we have shift selecting or control selecting. Control or command, excuse me. Command, I'm on a Mac now. Let's get into some key commands now. I'm going to go through some key commands. We already know how to zoom. We turn the little A to Z on, and it's R and T. That's my favorite way to zoom by far. It'll zoom into wherever you're marked in on the audio clip. And a key command to make a new track. You can see all the key commands, by the way, up here. Command Shift N brings up this little dialog if I want to make a new mono track. There we go. Here's my audio 1. I'm just going to call it Bob. I can call it whatever I want. Move it around. There we go. Because I'm going to record some Bob later. So that would be Command Shift N. A few more here that I could do. I've got this loop here. Let me make sure it's a little bit quiet. Right? A great way to just duplicate any type of loop is just Command D. I'm going to zoom out here. And I can just Command D this all day long, right? And it just gets my loop going. In that was Command D. That is, the long way is right here. If I have a selection here, edit, duplicate, Command D, see that right there. I could also do repeat, and it just brings up a dialog of how many times I want to repeat. I want to repeat it, let's say 13 times, and lo and behold, 13 times it repeated itself for a long time. So that's edit, repeat, or Option R, or Command D for duplicate. Let's see here. Let's review. I can Option drag. If I just move it around, it just moves it. If I Option drag, it'll move and copy it. That's a really important one. So I want you to just experiment with these commands in the next week.